Hello and welcome to World Business Report from the BBC World Service. This is Mike Johnson. France's President Emmanuel Macron has outlined his vision for the future of the European Union. He wants less authoritarianism and more economic integration. In this programme, we'll be asking one of Mr Macron's MPs how much support that vision will have in the rest of Europe.
He's proven he has a good capacity to convince his European counterparts. And it's a general reform and renewal of the European thinking, European idea that he's trying to launch.
Also today, as China and Russia face new claims over digital spying from the West, we ask if we can ever be truly confident that what we put in cyberspace is safe. And yum yum, possibly, is the world ready for pink chocolate?
So we have not patented on purpose the whole bean-to-bar process. That's a trade secret, but it's comparable with making dark milk or white chocolate.
More on that coming up over the next half an hour or so. En Marche was the name Emmanuel Macron chose for his new political party in France just over 2 years ago. It means forward. And it was Mr Macron's centrist liberal vision which brought him a landslide victory in last year's presidential election. Well, now he's laid out his vision for the European Union too, in a speech before the European Parliament in Strasbourg.
Il faut entendre la colère des peuples d'Europe aujourd'hui.
We have to understand the anger of the European people today. It is not lectures that they need, but a new project, a requirement for everyday efficiency. Those who stoke anger propose only a return to the nationalisms that tore us apart in the past. To revive the Europe of the people, we must, therefore, agree to act differently by drawing on the source of democracy and looking at things in the face.
He urged Europeans to reject authoritarianism and to embrace liberalism. But Mr Macron is facing headwinds both at home and abroad. At home, there have been a series of strikes and protests against his economic reforms. And some German politicians aren't happy about his plan for a European equivalent of the International Monetary Fund to help struggling states. Delphine O is a member of the French Parliament for what's now called La République En Marche. I started by asking her what she thought the problem was with the EU, which Mr Macron was trying to fix.
The main problem he's tried to address in this speech is to, at the same time, recognize there is anger, there is dissatisfaction within the European peoples. There's this sense and this feeling that Europe, and specifically the European Commission or what is called Brussels, is disconnected from the preoccupations of the European peoples. But at the same time, we should not yield into the temptation, which he mentioned several times, to the fascination of illiberal democracies or authoritarian regimes, such as maybe the Russian model or the Chinese model. And we can see that some countries like Poland or Hungary are sort of drifting away in that direction, and we should sort of go back to our roots as European liberal democracies.
What lies at the root of all of this then? Do you think, for example, it's immigration?
No, I don't think it's immigration. I think it's probably a failure on the part of European governments at the same time as European Commission and European institution to better communicate about what Europe is doing for its citizens, protecting more human rights, protecting consumer rights, protecting economic rights, but also in addressing their fears. It's true that there is a fear of immigration. We have had refugee crisis from Syria, from Afghanistan, also from Africa. So I think we should have more conversations, but we should also recognize, and this is what President Macron has done, that France hasn't done its part of the job, that it has let both Italy and Greece and other southern European countries take in most refugees, and we should address these fears.
Yeah, I know particularly in Italy, I was there for the elections recently, that is a real worry, and that's a real concern that other countries haven't done enough to shoulder the burden. I see that President Macron separately on Tuesday proposed creating a European fund for communities that take in refugees. Is that, though, an idea that is really likely to get widespread backing in Europe? I'm thinking particularly in Eastern Europe too.
Well, history will tell us, but so far I think he's done a pretty good job in convincing other European countries to sort of rally around ideas that France has been either launching or heralding. For instance, the agreement on posted workers, detached workers that we succeeded in reaching a couple of months ago. We're still working, obviously, on convergence on fiscal issues, on social issues, and also on immigration issues. I think he's shown that there is a widespread interest, at least among the member members of European Parliament and other countries.
But the truth in other areas, though, is that President Macron's plans for reform, particularly of the Eurozone, are already facing a bumpy ride. I'm thinking about his idea of creating a European monetary fund, like the International Monetary Fund, a lender of last resort for countries that get into trouble. German lawmakers, Angela Merkel herself, none of them seem very keen on that idea already.
Yeah, sure. I mean, progress is taking time, and this idea of a Eurozone is actually not his idea originally. He's been there for a while, for a number of years. He's sort of taking it back on his shoulders, and so far it hasn't garnered widespread agreement, but I think he's proven he has a good capacity to convince his European counterparts. So, we're making progress step by step. This is not just the Eurozone and the immigration and all of these issues, the fiscal issues, the immigration issues are not separated. They all come sort of not in a package, but they all come together. And it's a general, not revolution, but maybe reform and renewal of the European thinking, European idea that he's trying to launch.
That was Delphine Au, a member of the French Parliament for the ruling La République En Marche party.